This is a camcorder, which was made in like 2008. Now, frankly, the camcorder sucks. The quality is bad, but the feeling I get when I watch back footage from one of these is a way nicer feeling than the feeling of watching something like on this camera. So that's what we're talking about in today's video, how to give your footage shot on a nice camera, your phone, whatever, that camcorder VHS look. And we're gonna go over a few requirements or guidelines that you can like loosely follow if you want to have the most accurate or realistic looking camcorder-like footage from what we're working with here. My sister and I, are gonna go film with this camera and the camcorder, the same shot, you know, back to back. That way you can see what the camcorder shot will look like and what we're going to try to emulate with this camera when we shoot the same exact shot with this one. This will work for any camera in any software. However, I will be using Premiere Pro, and when we get to the editing portion, if you want to just skip there right now, the timestamp's on the screen. You can also press the chapter, either which way. Let's cut to the part where I'm actually filming. Okay, so you've recorded your footage, you're ready to make it look VHS like camcorder-y. How do we do that? Well, first off, here's the timestamps on the screen. If you want to skip to one of these points where you want to just learn that, you can. With that, let's dive into the actual effects. As you can see here, I have my footage. If I turn the effects off, that was what we started with. It was shot in C-Log 3 on the Canon R6. First and foremost, let's go ahead and take this shot. We'll just start with the first one here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and right-click and nest this. So I nest all of my color correction adjustments I've already made. So now we can start where you might be starting if you don't have log footage that you've already color corrected. And we want to go ahead and take our contrast, push it up. Let's just go to 100. If you want to, you can click this and you can slide past 100 to 150. We want to take our shadows, crush those down as well, because remember, this bush over here, this tree over here, we can still see some detail in it because of course the camera has a much better dynamic range. But if you look here, and you look here, you can't see almost any detail. You can't see any detail under the car in this shadow. So we want to emulate that. So let's take this again, bring our blacks down, bring our shadows down, whites, let's bring them down as well. We're getting there. We're not there, but we're getting there. Okay, so now that we know our color is incorrect, like it's not as warm as the other footage was, instead of going to our white balance, because we already made sure the white balance was correct when I color corrected this shot originally, I'm gonna go to curves, and I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna slide it down its, way a little bit and really crush the whites out of the thing. So if you wanna see before, after, the whites are kind of crushed. In fact, I'm gonna bring it up a little bit. I'm gonna go back to basic correction. I'm gonna boost my highlights a tad and drop my shadows a bit more. I wanna make sure I don't have any detail, in my darkest parts of my shadows. So go back to curves now. Let's go to the green. On the green, let's widen that a little bit just so, from this point to this point, it's a little bit of a gap here. Red, let's do the same. And then blue, let's bring down a little bit out of the whites. And I'd say it's getting there. We're pretty close, but what can we do now? Let's go to creative. So we can go ahead and bring our vibrance down. Because if you look at this, the shots, the colors are not very vibrant. So we bring our vibrance down. We can push our saturation up a little bit, or maybe we'll leave it around 100 still, that's fine. Let's push our faded film up. We want to get rid of like the blacks contrast to the other colors. So fade your film up a little bit, that'll crush those blacks a bit more. And then sharpen is where our best friends for this look are gonna come into play. Bring your sharpening, let's go to like 8. And if I look before and after, I've got a lot of blurriness going on now. So that's nice. And now from now on, I'm gonna stop comparing it to this as much because I also wanna have that VHS look that this also doesn't have, because once again, it wasn't shot on tape, it was shot digitally because it is a digital camcorder. But if we're going back farther than that in history, we're gonna need to add a few other things that this doesn't have. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and add a channel bore. I'm gonna shrink down this so I can just keep my workspace clean over here. Go over here to effects. I'm gonna go ahead and type in channel bore. Underneath obsolete, you'll find channel bore. Double click it, it applies to your effect controls over here. Now, go ahead and push your red border up to like 15-ish, maybe 20 will do. If you toggle this on and off, you'll see that it added some red to it, but it also added, a vignette, which in this case is a good thing. Sometimes you don't want that vignette, but in this case, it is a good thing. So now that we've added that, keep repeat edge pixels on and turn this to vertical. Add another channel bore, add some more red. Let's do 10. Add some blue, like 20, and then let's do horizontal. If you want to, you can see on the vertical and horizontal axes, you have some like color separation. kind of like you would on old VHS. And now, to be honest, like when you see people do the digital to VHS look, I feel like they go overboard with this look, just like it is now. This looks a little unrealistic because yes, old film tape recorders had that look, but they also weren't doing it intentionally, so it was like inconsistent and not always as strong as you see here. So I'm gonna bring this down to like 13-ish, and then I'm gonna bring this down to like 8, and this down to maybe like 12. And you can see if you turn these on and off now, of course the vignette's there, but you also have a slight bit of color separation, just enough to kind of do it for me. Let's go ahead, and over here I have an adjustment layer. Click and drag that. If you don't have one, press right here on new item, adjustment layer, and then drag her in. So now let's drag it in on top, and I just want to shrink this to the size of my nested sequence clip here right now. I want to add a channel blur again, but in this case, I want to do, I don't know, 15, go up here to opacity, normal, lighten. Now, if you've seen my other videos, you might be like, dude, this is the halation video, and you're right, because I'm taking parts, like I said, here and there, of all the things I've figured out and learned and my style of things, and I'm kind of pushing them into a new style, if you would. Forgive me if it's boring to you, you can always watch something else, but I'm trying to, use what we already know to continue to expand our skill sets here. Now I'm gonna bring it back down to like 19 because I don't want to see it too much. I don't want it to be in your face once again. I want it to be a subtle, inconsistent type of thing. Let's go ahead and take our adjustment layer, click and drag it up, and then we're gonna copy this, and if you've seen the bloom video, you'll know what we're about to do here. Now on this, I'm gonna go ahead and delete channel blur, and keep the lumetri color there. Then over here, I'm gonna go to Luma key. I'm gonna click and drag that in or double click it. I'm also gonna do a Gaussian blur. And bear in mind, at this point, your computer might start hating you and you might have to sit around waiting for quite a while. Nonetheless, it's very hard on your computer. Blurriness, let's bring it up to about 50. 84 on the cutoff and 88 on the threshold. Now you'll start to notice already that it's looking like hazy and blurry and out of focus, and we want that, but we don't want it to be this strong. Let's go back down and add like 13 on there, really bring it down, because we don't want the effect to be the prominent focal point like you would on like actual film, but we want to have that edge between the highlights and the midtones, if you would, kind of soft. So we're softening a lot of things up, and that's good, but I still feel like it's a little bit forced feeling. So I'm gonna go to my opacity, bring this down to like 70. Now we're getting closer to that feeling once again. But okay, so if we do the comparison mode here, and we compare it to the first shot, to our shot, we're starting to see that our shot, in my personal opinion, is looking pretty similar. Like this is the R6 shot, this is the camcorder shot. R6, camcorder. Now, one huge thing is it still looks way too sharp in comparison to this. What can we do about this? Well, on the adjustment layer, we can go ahead and add some noise. So type in noise right here under noise and grain, double click that. Now it's over here. Let's remove color noise and add 8. All right, so we added some noise, but I think it still feels a little too sharp, a little too nice. So on the adjustment layer, once again, under basic correction, close that, go to creative, faded film, sharpen area, doing the same thing, but now we're gonna do it on the adjustment layer. Now I might even do -20, really push that softness, because once again, we don't want this looking digital. We want it to look like shit, so we're making it look like shit. You could call this done. I'm gonna bring it one step further once again by going to what I labeled as a VFX folder. I have 2 textures here. 35mm film grain that I gave away in the last video. You can either go to that video and click the description, or go in this video's description and find the same exact link. These both textures will be there. You can choose whichever one you'd want. If you're going for the more VHS look, then you can click and drag that on top of there, delete the excess. And then you can change this opacity blend mode to soft light. Wait for it to do its thing. It's gonna take a second because it's going to slow down your computer. And when that comes up, now you kind of have that VHS-y look. When you play it back, you'll get those lines like you're seeing on the screen right now. Or you can delete that, drag that film grain on top there, do the exact same thing, take your opacity, blend mode, soft light, or overlay. In this case, I might do overlay to make it a little chunkier than normal. But keep in mind, this is 35mm film grain. It's not gonna look like a camcorder, if you really know what you're looking at. And then on the scale, I'm actually gonna bring that scale up to like 180, make that layer, bigger, so the grain is a little bit rougher and the size of the grain's a bit bigger. All of that just for one look. It's gonna make exporting long, rendering long, the encoding time on everything it's gonna be so extra. You're gonna be sitting around waiting forever. I apologize, but I can't do anything to change that, unfortunately. However, I think the effect looks pretty damn good. And then for the final effect, if you want to get started in an easier format, you can go ahead and make a preset out of what we've done here. Now, I can't preset every effect that I've done on multiple different layers. Like this film is a video layer, can't do that. the adjustment layer, we can make a preset for as well. So we'll do 2 of them, right? First and foremost, on our nested layer, the first nested layer, we have our lumetri color, we have our channel borders for both vertical and horizontal axes. We can go ahead and select all those by clicking the first one, holding down Command or Control, and clicking the other 2. Right click, save preset. Let's call it VHS base. We'll go to the next one. We can call it VHS bloom, for instance. I already have a bloom preset, but we'll call this one VHS bloom. So save the preset. And then on the adjustment layer right here, we can do the exact same thing. Right click to all of them, VHS Halation grain. So now if I want to go to a different clip, let's say I want to go to this clip, right? What can I do? Well, I can go ahead and copy that original one after I nest it. So let's nest it. So all my original log color correction settings are now put back to normal, right? Click and drag to copy that. On the first one, I want to go ahead and look at my presets for VHS base. You'll see it right here. Drag onto there. You can see now that the lumetri color channel border and the other channel border are all put on that shot. On this duplicated version, let's go ahead and do VHS bloom. Now we start to see the changes, right? So I have my adjustment layer here. Click and drag that onto there. I can drag my halation and grain presets on. You can see that all those effects are now applied. And then I can just copy this, for instance, and drag it on top of there if I want to. And now we have this VHS look that, in my personal opinion, looks really nice and blurry and good, and like the blacks and shadows are destroyed. The whites are kind of nice, but they're also a little destroyed. Sure, it looks like a higher quality VHS, right? It's still sharp in like 4K. But if you wanted to, you can go ahead and just export the sequence in 720, and then you really have some garbage looking quality footage that will pretty much look like you want it to. Bad, like a VHS. Authentic though. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of it. That's the only reason I made this video, is hopefully to help you. Let me know what you thought. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.